Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
All right, let's take it from the top again. Places. Action.
Well, let's see. We have on the bags, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
That's what I want to find out.
I say who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
Are you the manager?
Yes.
You going to be the coach, too?
Yes.
And you know the fellow's name?
Well, I should.
Well, then who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who?
The guy playing first.
Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
That's it.
That's who?
Yes.
Join us for another voyage back in time on Classic Radio Rewind. From adventures to westerns, from comedy to sci-fi, this is your ticket to Theater of the Mind. Without any further ado, here's your host for Classic Radio Rewind, Barry Slinker.
Thank you, Mr. Dex Rowe, and hello again, everyone, and welcome to Classic Radio Rewind. I'm Barry Slinker, and we have another great 2-hour lineup for you this week. Coming up a little later is Frontier Gentleman from 1958, followed by the Burns and Allen Show from 1946. And bringing this 2-hour show to a close is Inner Sanctum Mysteries from 1945. But right now we are going to begin our 2-hour journey with Escape. In this episode starring John Dehner, a young officer has challenged his commanding officer to a duel with an interesting outcome. So from March 25th, 1954, it's John Dehner in Escape with The Second Shot, here on Classic Radio Rewind.
Tired of the everyday grind? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are standing in a lonely forest clearing. The dawn turned gray by the creeping fog. While standing only yards from you, his eyes filled with his hate for you, is a man who's come to take your life. Unless you first take his.
Listen now as Escape brings you The Second Shot, a story based on the classic tale by Alexander Dumas.
Gentlemen.
Ready?
Yes. Get on with it.
There is no way by which you can compose your differences, settle your quarrel, except by this. Lieutenant Daumier.
There is none.
Lieutenant Moussan.
I am not the challenger. Lieutenant Daumier is.
If my opponent wishes to withdraw at this point with a certain loss of honor...
The lieutenant forgets himself.
My apologies.
Monsieur, will you be kind enough to proceed?
Very well. Your seconds have examined these pistols and pronounced them perfectly matched. They are loaded. Will you make your choice, Lieutenant Daumier?
This one should do nicely.
Lieutenant Moussan. Gentlemen, you will take your places. Here, where I have planted my saber in the ground, back to back, if you please. You will raise your pistols to shoulder height, hold them pointed upward. Good. Now the terms of the duel are these. On Major Cul's count, you will walk slowly away from each other. On the count of 10, you will turn and fire. Regardless of the effects of the shots, the duel is then declared finished and the quarrel ended. Is that satisfactory to both of you?
Quite satisfactory.
Yes, of course.
Are you ready, Major Cull?
Yes. If there's no other way of... Yes, I'm ready.
Gentlemen.
At your pleasure.
Yes, go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Dr. Valjoux, hurry, please. See what you can do for him.
Your son had a premonition this would happen, Major Cull.
He didn't need a premonition. Common sense could have told him.
True. Daumier never misses.
Well.
Is he dead, Major?
Fact, I think, is obvious. Congratulations, Lieutenant Daumier. Once again, you have distinguished yourself by your excellent shooting. It is unfortunate, however, that you so often see fit to direct it against your own comrades in arms.
He insulted me, sir. A man must defend
Good day,
his...
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Daumier reporting as requested, sir.
At ease, Lieutenant. Let me see here. According to this dossier, you were assigned to my regiment some 7 months ago, having just been commissioned from the Academy at Saint-Cyr.
Yes, sir.
And though the regiment has not been engaged in military action during that period, you have shown exemplary ability in the performance of duties assigned to you.
Thank you, sir.
Your official record is excellent, and it can be assumed you will give a good account of yourself when we move against Vienna at the end of the month.
I hope so, sir.
However, I am more concerned at the moment with your unofficial record, Lieutenant Daumier.
Sir?
1 week after your assignment to my command, you challenged Subaltern Mikolov to a duel and shot and killed him.
He insulted me, sir.
6 weeks later, you challenged Lieutenant Deville to a duel, shot and killed him.
But I was only
2 months after that, Captain Morancy, your bullet smashed his shoulder, and he was forced to retire from the service. 3 weeks ago, your victim was Lieutenant Leclerc, who still lingers in the hospital.
Does the colonel know that all
Now,
those
this morning, near the forest of Marengo, you shot and killed the leader of my 8th platoon, Lieutenant Musin.
The duel was conducted fairly,
It
sir.
was murder. You're a dead shot with a pistol. Those men didn't have a chance against you.
Then they should not be so free with their insults, Colonel. A gentleman has the right to defend his honor.
Lieutenant Daumier, if all you know of honor is what you have learned on the dueling field, then I fear your education has been arrested at a very primitive stage.
I resent your implication. If you care to withdraw your remark at once, perhaps
Lieutenant, attention!
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Daumier, you were on the point of issuing a challenge to your commanding officer while standing for an official interview. You were aware of the penalty for such an action, are you not?
Yes, sir, the guillotine.
Lieutenant, in 7 months I've lost 5 men. Excellent officers, all of them. Sacrificed to that exalted sense of honor of yours. Well, there'll be no more of it. Do you understand?
But, sir,
if you persist in this career of mayhem, if you challenge another man of this regiment, I will convene a court of inquiry. If that court should find your provocation insufficient, and I am quite sure that it would, I will have you stripped of your commission and thrown out of the army. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Any questions, Lieutenant?
With the colonel's permission, yes. The colonel has mentioned the penalty for challenging one superior officer under official restraint. But suppose such a challenge should be given in circumstances which are not official, and for reasons which are personal.
In that case, there is no penalty, Lieutenant Daumier.
Thank you, sir.
Dismissed.
Mind if I step in, Colonel?
Of course not. Come in, Major.
Saw Daumier leaving. He was boiling. What did you do to him?
Tried to threaten some of that boyish nonsense out of his head with somewhat dubious success, I'm afraid.
He has a hellish temper, all right. He was in one of my courses at Saint-Cyr. He needs a campaign to settle him down.
He'll get it. The orders are confidential, but the little corporal arrives in 2 weeks.
Ah.
We move against Vienna the week after.
Good. The regiment needs shaking down.
Confound it, Major Cull. Daumier is worth saving if there's any way of doing it. He could be the best junior officer in the regiment if he'd only grow up. If he could only develop the slightest maturity. Now, do you realize that I am barely 12 years older than he is?
It's the campaigns. Italy, Egypt, you had to grow up. Wait till we move against the Austrian army. That'll settle him down.
I hope so.
Oh, by the way, Colonel, you recall my telling you of a niece of mine?
Marianne?
Yes. Well, she's here. Came up from Saint Cyr this afternoon for a surprise visit. I wondered if you would care to join us at dinner tonight.
Of course.
Well, then it's settled. And forget about Daumier. He'll straighten out in time.
Possibly. If he doesn't destroy himself first.
Or someone else.
Or someone else.
Colonel Perrault, you're a most remarkable man.
Remarkable?
I've been telling it to Marianne for 3 years now.
With the way you described him, Uncle Jean, I had pictured a battle-scarred veteran of a dozen campaigns, tired and worn, and even older than you are.
Oh, heaven forbid.
But instead I find, well...
You, find what, Marianne?
No, not another word. I fear I may have said enough now to turn your head.
Oh, I rather think you'll find his head a bit more firmly attached than those of the cadets you know at Saint Cyr.
Oh, Uncle Jean, what a thing to say.
Captain D'Autrec has just come in. There's a matter I'd like to see him about, if you'll excuse me, sir.
Yes, of course, Major. Marianne, how long will you be here?
A week, possibly 2, unless the campaign begins sooner. Oh, I know, it's a dark secret. But there is gossip, of course.
I see.
Oh, they're going to dance. Of course I accept. I'd love to.
Oh, no, really now.
Do come on. There's much less danger in a cotillion than there is in a cavalry charge.
Is there? My arm, Marianne.
And that thin blue line far across the valley there, almost hidden in the haze. What is that, Colonel Perrault?
The Danube.
Oh.
It's an objective once we open the campaign.
The campaign. Danger, death. It's difficult to imagine when everything is so peaceful now. The birds, flowers, even the hills are happy today.
And you, my dear?
I'm happy, too. Very happy.
Then forget the campaign. Today it doesn't matter.
And what does matter today?
You.
I?
You must have known it. I'm not experienced at hiding such things. Marianne.
I think the carriage driver is anxious to leave.
The devil take the carriage driver.
Why, you're more impetuous than a cadet.
Where you're concerned.
It's getting late.
Marianne.
No, please. We only met 3 days ago.
A week, then. Will a week be long enough, my dear?
I think perhaps it will. Ask me then.
Daumier, are you there?
Yes, come in.
Assembly and review in 5 minutes. Are you ready?
Yes, if I can get this tunic straight. There.
Here's your saber.
Full review every 3rd day now. Something must be up.
The Austrian campaign will move in a matter of days. Mark my words.
I hope you're right.
Daumier, there's something I think you ought to know.
We'd better go.
Wait. You told me once that while you were at the academy, you exchanged rings with Marianne Cole, the major's niece, right?
Yes, we're planning to be married. She wrote me she'd try to come here for a visit, but so far
Daumier.
What?
Daumier, she's here.
Here?
She's been here for a week.
A week? Where? What's she been doing?
Dining, dancing, driving in the countryside, walking in the garden, the usual activities of a girl who's being courted.
Courted? By whom?
By our commanding officer, my friend.
Colonel Perrault? That's a lie.
It's true, Daumier. The major introduced her. The whole regiment is known, but they've kept it from you. From me as well, knowing I was your friend. I just heard of it. What are you going to do about it, Daumier?
We'll see, Armand. Now let's go.
You are listening to The Second Shot, tonight's presentation on Escape. On CBS Radio's Saturday night series called Gunsmoke, we go back to the early West for the exploits of United States Marshal Matt Dillon. On most of these same stations, CBS Radio brings you the excitement of Gunsmoke every Saturday night. And now, Escape, and Act Two of The Second Shot.
Are you leaving us, Major?
If you will excuse me, yes, it's bedtime for a man my age.
Good night, Uncle Jean.
Good night, my dear. Colonel?
Good night, Major. Marianne,
Yes?
do you know what day this is?
Well, it's the day before tomorrow, of course, and a day later than yesterday. But beyond that, I must confess I've lost track of the time.
It's a week. 1 week today. You said a week should be long enough, my dear.
I did?
I love you, Marianne.
It seems so strange. For you who have been so many places, known so many women.
I don't remember any women.
For you to love me, who knows nothing and has been nowhere.
The cadets at the academy.
Not one of them mattered. Not as you matter, my dear.
Marianne. Then you will marry me.
Who could it be at this time of night?
I suppose we should answer it.
Wait, I hear Uncle Jean coming down. He'll see who it is.
Good. I'm much too comfortable to move, and the view from here is excellent.
View?
You, my dear.
Oh.
Lieutenant Daumier? It's rather late, Lieutenant.
My compliments to Colonel Perrault, Major. Tell him I'd like a word with him. And tell him it's personal rather than official. Quite personal.
Have the lieutenant come in, Major Cole. I gathered from your remarks to Major Cole at the door that you are not here on official military business.
The colonel has an excellent sense of hearing. It's too bad his sense of decency is not equally admirable.
Lieutenant, may I remind you that you're addressing your superior officer?
I am aware of it, Major.
Then while you're in my home, you will conduct yourself in a manner proper to your rank.
My manner is proper enough for a man who's been grossly offended. I'm certain the colonel will admit that the provocation he has given me is...
Lieutenant Daumier.
Let him talk, Major. What provocation do you fancy I have given you, Lieutenant?
I would prefer to discuss the matter without the presence of Major Cole's niece.
Daumier, you're being a fool.
I was once, but no longer.
You know each other?
Ask your niece, Major.
Stop it, Daumier. We were both fools, mere children.
Oh, and now, in less than a year, you have grown up, become a lady, the colonel's lady, no less. Though you show little regard for his feelings, since I perceive you still wear my ring on a chain about your throat.
Take it. Here. Each day I meant to give it back, but I put it off. It meant nothing.
It meant a pledge of betrothal once. Shall I remind you of the circumstances, our children's words, our children's actions?
Marianne, I must add my request to the lieutenant's. Will you leave us alone, please?
Yes. Will you go, my dear?
Very well, Uncle Jean. Colonel Perrault, Nothing.
Lieutenant, were you implying some sort of understanding between you and Marianne before she came here to visit?
Is the colonel trying to imply he was not aware of it?
I was not.
You lie.
Lieutenant.
Never mind, Major. I think our young friend hardly knows what he's saying.
Then you choose to ignore my insult? Well, I will not be so lenient, Colonel Perrault. Captain Armand will call at your quarters tonight and arrange the affair.
A duel? You are challenging your commanding officer?
With the colonel's permission, of course. Naturally, he can refuse to accept.
I accept.
No, Colonel.
I shall expect Captain Armand at my quarters later.
Colonel Perrault.
And now, Lieutenant Daumier, you are a fool. A brash, unreasoning young fool. I'm telling you that quite officially. Dismissed.
He's taking his time. It's 10 o'clock.
Captain Armand is hardly as reckless as Daumier. I imagine it's taking some persuasion to get him to act in this matter.
Do as I suggest, Colonel. Demand that the duel be fought with sabers. I saw you on the barricades at Firenze.
Everyone would believe the choice was made through cowardice. It's well known that the lieutenant fights with a pistol, so be it then.
But he's a dead shot. He'll kill you.
The probabilities are in his favor.
Then how, in the name of heaven, can you sit there and be so calm about it?
Calm? Major, I am anything but calm. Oh, no. Not about the possibility of death. I've spent my life with death. Cheated it for years. When it comes, and for me it's overdue. It's not death. It's Marianne.
Oh, she was young. Too young. Not yet awakened. As she said herself, a childish thing. It meant nothing.
I am not so sure, Major. Perhaps the strength and surge of my own feeling may have blinded me to hers.
She's been here a week and made no effort to see him.
But she wore his ring. You see my position, Major. If I should kill him, it would be a terrible injury to her. And on the other hand, should the result be reversed, her life with him would be clouded forever by the thought that she had brought about my death.
Lest you insist on believing she cares for Daumier.
I can see no other explanation.
Except the obvious one.
Maria.
I am not ordinarily an eavesdropper. Any more than I am other things you seem to believe I am.
Marianne, at this hour, a gentleman's quarters are
I think
hardly
I'm
fitting
amply chaperoned by Uncle Jean. In fact, too much so for what I have to say.
I'll wait in the passage outside, Colonel. Keep an eye out for Captain Armand.
Do you believe I have played with your affections? Treated your love lightly for some feeling of vanity in such a conquest?
I don't condemn you, my dear. My rank, perhaps, an air of experience. Anyone can be misled for a week.
I meant what I said to Daumier. It was a childish thing. So there is no reason for this duel, you see. You can't go through with it now.
But I have to, my dear. There's nothing else I can do.
Daumier is being a fool. Must you be one, too?
I have no choice. Under the circumstances, I can only... It's Captain Armand. Come. You can go out this way. It's better he not see you here.
But the duel, you must not risk your life.
Life is risk, Marianne. Now, goodbye, my dear. Come in, Captain Armand. At ease, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Major Cull here has kindly agreed to act as my second. The precise details of time and place can be arranged between you.
Yes, sir.
But as to the conditions of the duel itself, I wish to state definite requirements. This is, of course, my right as the challenged party.
Lieutenant Daumier has instructed me to accept whatever conditions you may impose, sir.
Good. And here they are. Dueling pistols, of course.
Very good. The distance?
2 paces.
2 paces?
Correct.
Colonel, are you sure of what you are saying?
2 paces? It is impossible to miss.
Each of us shall take his position and aim at his opponent, and may fire his shot at will after the count of 3.
But I...
Now, a final condition, Captain. One of the pistols will not be loaded.
I hardly know what to...
Colonel, it means certain death for one of you. For the one who draws the empty gun. Leaves everything else to chance.
Better so than leave it to the lieutenant's marksmanship. Well, Captain?
The Major is right. The result is purely a matter of chance, sir.
Which is proper, I think, in an affair of honor. Shouldn't fate be given a hand in the matter? Well, do you decline my terms, Captain Armand?
No, we can't decline. It's your right. Very well, Colonel. On behalf of Lieutenant Daumier, I accept.
Colonel, you're being as foolish as he is. Stop now before it's too late.
I think it's too late now, Major Cull. It appears they're all here ahead of us.
It can only mean tragedy no matter what happens.
Morning, gentlemen.
Hello.
Monsieur Dautrec, I understand that you are to officiate.
If the Colonel pleases.
Of course. Pistols are in this case. I've already seen to the loading.
Do you know which is the loaded gun, Colonel?
It doesn't matter, since Lieutenant Daumier will have first choice.
Quite so. Will you choose your weapon, Lieutenant?
I will.
You hesitate, Lieutenant. I was told you always approach these affairs with a certain ease and confidence.
This one.
That is your final choice, Lieutenant?
Yes.
Very well. Colonel?
Thank you.
If you will take your places, gentlemen. The sabers are planted in the ground 2 paces apart. You will stand back of them and face your opponent. Are you ready, gentlemen?
At your pleasure, monsieur.
Lieutenant Daumier?
Yes, of course. Get on with it.
You understand that neither of you will fire before the count of 3? Good. Gentlemen, you will take aim.
You're trembling, Lieutenant. Did you tremble in your other duels?
Count. Go ahead and count.
1, 2, 3.
Fate seems to be against you, Lieutenant Daumier. You drew the empty gun.
Fire. Fire and get it over with.
It's a new feeling for you, isn't it, Lieutenant? Looking into the muzzle of a pistol and knowing it holds death for you. It's a feeling 5 of your previous opponents had. A feeling one learns in campaigns and battles. At the same time, one learns the real meaning of honor. It's called fear, Lieutenant.
Fire, you devil.
Don't torture him, Colonel. Do as he says. Get it over with.
Torture! Is his torture any greater than that he imposed on others? Men who meant no insult to him, but were forced to face certain death from his marksmanship because of his self-acclaimed sense of honor? Is it too bad such drastic measures as this were required to bring to an end your career of slaughter, Lieutenant?
Fire. Pull the trigger.
We back up you, Colonel.
Very well, gentlemen. An end to your last duel, Lieutenant.
A misfire. A miracle.
No. Quite the contrary. Lieutenant Daumier, next week we move against Austria, and France will have need of all her officers. I did not wish to waste your life or mine. Neither of the pistols was loaded.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you The Second Shot, based on a story by Alexander Dumas, specially adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, starring John Daner with Vic Perrin. Featured in the cast were Ellen Morgan, Ben Wright, Harry Bartell, Jack Crucian, and Lou Krugman. Your announcer, George Walsh. The special music for Escape is composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Next week.
You are standing at the entrance of a walled Arab town. While behind you, coming slowly through the night, are the shuffling footsteps of a blind beggar who will lead you into a harrowing world of darkness and terror.
So listen next week when Escape brings you Kathleen Height's terrifying story, The Return. Your purchase of Easter seals is your way of extending the only aid there is for the crippled and disabled. Organized hospital, clinical, and laboratory campaigns to cure the curable and to lessen the burdens of those who can't be completely well again. Buy Easter seals. Make your generous contribution a fighting force to expand treatment, research, and education. The three weapons of hope and cure for the crippled and disabled in America. America listens most to the CBS Radio Network.
Was the second shot from Escape, starring radio star John Dehner, as originally heard March 25th, 1954. And coming up next on Classic Radio Rewind is another classic starring John Dehner with Frontier Gentlemen. This is the first episode in this series, and we see J.B. Kendall taking on an entire Shelton gang in the Montana Territory. From February 2nd, 1958, this is Frontier Gentlemen with John Dehner in the first episode of this series, The Shelton Brothers.
There's a town in Montana Territory where it's against the law to carry a gun. The sheriff lives by this order, but other men can die because of it.
Frontier Gentlemen. Herewith, an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual accounts. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territories. Now starring John Dehner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentlemen.
The journey had taken 98 days from St. Louis. I had come by riverboat up the Missouri, the little stern wheeler climbing, churning, scuttling over 2,000 miles of sandbar and rapid. Then into the lonely wastes of another, swifter stream, the Yellowstone, until we finally docked at South Sunday in Montana Territory. My ticket had cost $300, which left me about $50 in my pocket, and a slim hope that there would be a letter at the express office with my remittance from England.
Afternoon. Just in off the boat?
Right. I wonder if there's a letter for me, J.B. Kendall.
Kendall, any trouble on the way up? I hear the Sioux been kicking up their heels. Sitting bulls making big medicine again. Don't sound good.
We didn't see any.
Kendall, you English, ain't you?
Yes.
I figured by your talk. Don't see many of you in these parts. Nope. Nothing for you, mister.
You're sure? It's rather important. From England?
Nope. Nothing. Maybe tomorrow on the overland, though. Say, you planning to stay a while?
I think so.
Better get and register then.
Register?
Over to Sheriff Clanton's office. There's a notice on the wall, maybe missed your attention. All strangers to South Sunday will, within 1 hour of arrival, register at the office of the sheriff or be prosecuted. That's Clanton's orders. Surprised you missed the signs. They're all over.
Thank you.
Well, that's all right. Wouldn't want to see you in trouble. This ain't the healthiest town in the territory, not for strangers.
Oh, any particular reason?
What? Oh, excuse me. Afternoon, Mr. Farley. This here's Mr. Kendall, just off the boat. I was telling him about registering.
Now, that's a good idea.
Dake Farley is one of the sheriff's deputies. Helps keep South Sunday law-abiding. Big job.
What's your business, Mr. Kendall?
Oh, you might call me a jack of all trades.
I might?
I do a little writing for a London newspaper, you know. An Englishman's view of the Wild West, that sort of thing.
We don't take to strangers.
Oh, really? Shame. I've been looking forward to my visit.
Yeah, well, now, you've seen it. You know what it's like, so supposing you get yourself back on that boat and try up the line to Rosebud at Junction City, huh?
I don't think so. Now, if you'll pardon me, I'll register at your office.
You carrying a gun?
No.
Put your hands up. Over your head. Higher. Now, you hold it just like that. Just so. All right. That's your baggage?
Yes.
Pick it up.
I beg your pardon?
I said pick it up.
Oh.
All right, come on.
Tell me, Mr. Farley, how did your town get its name?
How should I know?
I thought you'd take an interest, just as a matter of pride. A civic pride.
Mister, I don't like the way you talk or what you say, so you shut your mouth. Here? Inside.
Where you been, Dake?
I've been checking on this fella, Frank. He just come in off the boat. He says he's a writer at a newspaper in London or something. He ain't carrying nothing. I searched him.
You're Sheriff Clanton?
Yeah.
J.B. Kendall. I understand I have to register.
Yeah. A writer, huh? You want to write about South Sunday?
I might.
How come?
As a matter of fact, the name intrigued me.
You kidding?
No, not at all. I write about the West, and you're in the heart of it. From what I understand, there might be trouble brewing with the Sioux and the Cheyenne. I'd like to be here if it blows up.
What's the name of your paper?
The London Times.
You ever hear of it, Dake?
No.
Mister, all kinds come to these here parts. Now, I ain't exactly calling you a liar.
That's quite all right. One can't be too careful. Here, my papers.
J.B. Kendall. British subject. Yeah. London Times. That's what it says. Here, you see, Dake?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Any other strangers get off the boat with him?
No, just him.
Well, you sound all right to me, Mr. Kendall. Now, just you remember, I got a set of rules here. You live by them while you're here. You'll get along.
That seems fair enough.
No man, except them authorized by me, carries a gun in South Sunday. That way we don't get a bunch of crazy, liquored-up miners and the like shooting up the place.
It seems the usual thing for a man to be armed in most places.
It ain't usual here. It's against the law.
Oh, I see.
You got yourself fixed up at the hotel?
No, not yet.
Well, then you go on over to the Empire, Mr. Kendall. You tell them Frank Clanton send you. They'll take care of you.
And very good of you.
Dake, take a look at his baggage.
Right.
Well, you're going to search my luggage?
That's right, mister. There are no guns in South Sunday, not worn or hidden.
That's a law.
I haven't got one.
I sure am glad to hear it. I like a peaceable man. Yes, sir. A fella like you might think of settling down here in South Sunday. It's the quietest little town in Montana Territory. It's an opportunity for a man.
Well, I'll keep it in mind, Mr. Clanton.
There ain't nothing in his bags.
Well, now, Mr. Kendall, you enjoy your stay here. Anything you want, you just ask me. And I'd appreciate it, sir, if you put my name in your paper. Whatever you want to say is okay with me.
My hotel room was a palace in comparison to the cabin on the riverboat. After cleaning up, I went downstairs to the saloon bar in the hotel, ordered a drink before dinner. The place was practically empty, but I wasn't alone for long.
Hi. You're the English fella, aren't you? Kendall?
Yes, that's right.
I'm Lila. I work here. Frank Clanton said be nice to you. I'm being nice. You want to buy me a drink? It's on Frank.
Oh, delighted. Bartender...
Champagne, Harry.
Yeah.
Frank says it's not ladylike to drink whiskey. Hey, what'd you do to that man? I never seen him like this.
He thinks I'm going to write about him for my paper.
Are you?
More than likely.
You gonna write about me, too?
If you want me to.
I'm Dake Farley's girl. Dake doesn't like you. He got mad when Frank said to be nice to you.
Does everybody in South Sunday do what Clanton tells them to do?
Sure.
Why?
Here's your drink.
Ah. Well, good luck. Look here, Lila. What about Clanton?
You seem like a nice fella. Don't ask questions.
Well, what about you then?
Me? What do you care?
Where are you from?
I was born in Ohio. Got married and came out west. 5 years back, my husband got killed in a gunfight. I don't know. I kind of drifted around. Ended up here, one place as good as the next.
Is it?
Yeah, I guess. What about you? Your home's in England, huh?
It was.
You one of them lords or dukes or something?
No, not exactly.
Married?
No.
Must be interesting traveling around, seeing new things.
Oh, it has its advantages.
But I suppose you'll be glad to get back home.
Well, let's just say that one place is as good as the next.
Oh, you can't go back, huh? Trouble?
In a way. Ah, look, your friend's just come in, Mr. Farley.
Listen, you be careful with him. Dake can get awful mean.
Well, doesn't he take orders from Clanton, too?
Don't talk smart like that to him. It riles him.
Ah, Mr. Farley, good evening. Would you join us?
No. I just come to say don't you get no ideas about Lila.
Now, what ideas do you think I'd have?
I'm telling you.
You're telling me what?
Keep your hands off my girl, you understand?
My dear fellow, I haven't touched your girl. The thought never entered my mind.
We were just having that drink, Dake, like Clanton
Lila,
said.
you keep out of this.
Do you know that I find your manner toward this young lady rather offensive?
Oh, you're just asking for trouble, aren't you?
Not at all.
Now, you think you can come in here with your fancy talk, your fancy ways, and make a fool out of me. Now, maybe Frank's a sucker, but not me. I don't like you. I don't trust you one bit.
Mr. Farley, it couldn't be of less consequence. What do you think of me?
He'll kill you, just
shut
like he...
up.
Oh, that I don't stand for. Chum.
Oh, my nose. My nose.
Imagine it's broken. Now, if you don't mind, I'll relieve you of these. A chap of your disposition has no right running around with even one gun, let alone two.
Get your hand up, will you?
You should have killed him.
What on earth for?
Listen, there's two more besides Dake and Clanton. They'll get you. You won't have a chance.
I think you better clear out before Mr. Farley stops bleeding. He's not going to be in a very nice mood.
Where are you going?
Down to Mr. Clanton's office. I've got to have a little talk to him.
In a moment, we'll return to Frontier Gentlemen. Who gets the last word? It all depends on who's playing CBS Radio's fascinating game Tuesday evening with Dr. Bergen Evans. A regular panel member is the witty and erudite John Mason Brown. Other guests vary from week to week. This Tuesday, they'll be Gary Moore and Lael Wertenbaker. These bright people take off from language questions sent in by listeners and cover all sorts of fascinating ground before one or another of them ultimately gives you the last word on the question. Get the last word this Tuesday when it comes to you over most of these same stations. And now we return you to Anthony Ellis's production of Frontier Gentlemen.
Mr. Kendall! Mr. Kendall, wait! Oh, you can't go down there. Dake went out the back. He'll have told Clanton by now. They'll be waiting.
Well, that's all right.
What's the matter with you? You want to die?
Of course not.
If you're gunning for them...
Gunning for who? I'm not gunning for anybody.
Then why are you going to see Frank?
Well, I told you I would talk to him.
Talk? Listen, you've got to get out of town.
My dear girl.
Don't you know who they are?
Should I?
You don't know what you've done. Shh. Quick, this way.
She took my hand and ran back up the street. We ducked down a narrow alleyway, up a rickety flight of stairs, which was the back entrance of the Empire Hotel, then along a musty corridor, past my room, and into hers.
I don't think they'll think of looking for you here.
Your friend, Mr. Farley, is going to be quite upset if they do.
His name's not Farley. Clanton isn't Clanton. They're the Shelton boys.
Shelton? The New Mexico Shelton boys?
There's 4 of them. Brothers.
What are they doing in South Sunday?
Hiding out from Billy the Kid. Dake killed one of Billy's men. Billy swore to get them all for it. That's why Frank won't let anybody carry a gun.
How do you know all this?
It was my husband Dake killed. Harry joined up with Billy for excitement, I guess. One time he was gone out of town 3 months. I was lonesome. I met Dake. When Harry came back, they had a fight over me. Dake outdrew him. We ran away together.
And you thought I'd come after them, that Billy had sent me?
They'll think it, too, now.
Lila, who made Frank sheriff here?
Nobody. There wasn't one when we came. He just took over. Funny thing is, I guess he's a pretty good sheriff. He's quit the old ways and likes it here.
Why have you told me all this?
I don't know. You talked with me like I was a lady. Indian treats his squaw better than Dake treats me. Maybe I wanted to see you finish him.
And it's not going to be very pleasant for you anymore.
Pleasant? Oh, mister, you got a funny way of saying things.
Lila, is there anywhere you could go? Friends?
In South Sunday?
No, what about home? I mean Ohio.
Home. Know what it'd cost to get there? I got no money.
But if you could.
If I could. I had nice folks. I don't even know if they're alive or dead. But I'd sure like to take a chance and find out.
Well, Lila, we'll see what we can do.
Where are you going now?
I had that talk with Frank. Do you know how to use a gun?
Yes.
Take this one. Now, lock yourself in after I've gone.
You keep it.
Huh?
I've got a Derringer.
Oh, all right. Here. In case I have any trouble, it's only $50.
I don't want your money.
Well, at least you'll be able to get out of town. Now, take it.
Watch yourself, will you? Dake's got a mean draw.
I'll watch myself. The Shelton brothers and probably 2 of their chums were out looking for me now, and I was pretty certain of that. I was looking for them, too, but the advantage was on their side. The town was strange to me. So I went to the one place where I was fairly sure I'd be safe from a surprise attack.
Sheriff ain't here. What are you...
Careful. Keep your hands where they are.
You're Kendall?
I'm Kendall.
Billy the Kid sent you. Now listen,
You may very slowly, carefully unbuckle your gun belt and let it drop to the floor. If you try to be foolish and brave, I shall be delighted to shoot you in the stomach.
Not me, Mr. Kendall. You see, just like you say.
Which Shelton are you?
Monroe.
Very well, Monroe. I wish you to walk to that cell in the far corner, go in, and close the door behind you. You will then stand with your back to the door.
You wouldn't kill me.
Oh, yes, I would. Close it, please. Good. Turn around, please. Now, I'm going to gag you. In order to do so, I must put my guns away and use 2 hands. If by any chance your friends come in and you make an outcry while I'm doing this, I shall teach you a trick I learned in India. It feels something like this. Effective, don't you think?
Yeah.
Right. Now, head close to the bars, please. Oh, by the way, how many are there looking for me? 2?
3.
3. There. Now, we'll make ourselves comfortable and wait for your brothers. They're coming. Now remember what I told you, Monroe. Not a sound.
Kendall! We know you're in there.
Blast.
Kendall! You hear me?
Is there a back door?
Come out with your hands up.
or we're coming in after you.
Let's get that gag off. I can see I'm going to need you.
What are you going to do?
I'll probably have to end up killing you. Nothing personal, you understand.
What do you say, Kendall?
Out you come.
Open the door and throw your guns out.
I've got a much better idea. You open the door and throw your guns in.
Monroe, are you in there?
Tell him.
Yeah, I'm in here, Frank.
Kendall, you come on out. You couldn't get...
This, but I'm afraid I don't believe you.
No. Hey, Frank, he's going to shoot. You do what he says.
All right. Kendall, we'll open the door. Throw in our gun. You give us your word you won't shoot?
Not unless you do. Any more?
No. We're coming in now.
Well, a pleasant family reunion. The brothers Shelton. Keep your hands where I can see them, won't you?
Now look. The kid made a mistake about what happened down south. Dake didn't mean to kill Lila's husband, did you, Dake?
I drew him, that's all.
Yeah, that's the way it was. Lila knows it was a fair fight. She'll tell you.
Speaking of Lila, I hope she's well.
Oh, she's fine. Now, we got no fight with the kid or you. Now, why don't we all go on down to the saloon and have a drink, huh? Talk it over. Me and my brothers have been living a nice, quiet life up here. We don't want to make no trouble. Get him, Dake!
My arm! Frank!
Completely dishonorable and most unwise.
Frank!
Any more hidden armaments?
You going to kill us?
It depends. Mr. Shelton, have you got $500?
Yeah, I reckon so.
Lila wants to go home. That's about what it'll cost. You have the money here.
Yeah, she's safe. Well, sure, she could take the boat out when it leaves in the morning. Ain't that so, Dake?
Sure she could.
Get it. Good. That settles the account. Now, all of you, get into the cell. Oh, incidentally, until this evening, I had no idea who you were. And I've certainly never met your friend, Billy the Kid. I thought you'd like to know.
Hey, what about Dake? He's got to have a doctor or he'll bleed to death.
He probably will. I'm going back to the hotel. If Lila's all right, I'll send a doctor. If she's not, we'll find an undertaker.
I want to thank you, Mr. Kendall.
It's nothing, Lila. Good luck.
You ever come Ohio way, you look me up. You hear?
I'll remember that. Oh.
You're a gentleman. I'll never forget you. Goodbye.
Morning, Mr. Kendall. Hear about the trouble last night?
Yes.
Sure must have been something. According to the sheriff, a whole gang rode in trying to shoot him up.
A gang?
Yep. 6 of them. Dake Farley got hit in the arm.
Really?
The sheriff ran him off, though.
Marvelous. I'll have to mention that in my article to the London Times. Now, I wonder, has that letter from England arrived yet?
No, I'm afraid not. Mail's already come in. Won't be any more till next week.
Well, when it does come, perhaps you'll be kind enough to forward it to me.
Sure. What address?
In care of the Express Office. Rosebud, Montana Territory.
Frontier Gentleman was written, produced, and directed by Anthony Ellis and stars John Daner as J.B. Kendall. Featured in the cast were Jack Crucian, Virginia Gregg, Stacey Harris, Harry Bartell, and Barney Phillips. Music was composed and conducted by Jerry Goldsmith. Join us again next week for another report from the Frontier Gentleman. Johnny Jacobs speaking. This is the CBS Radio Network.
Was the Shelton Brothers, starring John Daner from Frontier Gentleman, as originally heard February 2nd, 1958. And that brings this first hour of Classic Radio Rewind to a close. But there's more coming your way on the backside of the break as Classic Radio Rewind returns in just a few moments. Welcome back to the second hour of Classic Radio Rewind. I'm Barry Slinker, and lifting off hour number 2 is the Burns and Allen Show. In this episode, George predicts the winner of the Lewis-Kahn fight. So here's the Burns and Allen Show from May 30th, 1946, and this is the final show of that season.
Another cup of Maxwell House coffee, George?
Sure. Pour me a cup, Gracie. Maxwell House is always good to the last drop.
And that drop's good, too.
Yes, it's Maxwell House Coffee Time, starring George Burns and Gracie Allen. With yours truly, Bill Goodwin, the postman, Mel Blanc, our guest, Ben Gage, the music of Meredith Wilson and his orchestra. For your Thursday night comedy enjoyment, it's George and Gracie. And for your everyday coffee drinking enjoyment, it's Maxwell House. With extra flavor in the blend because of choice Latin American coffees skillfully combined. Extra flavor in the cup because Radiant Roast develops the full flavor of every coffee bean. And the result is that today more people buy Maxwell House than any other brand of coffee in the world. Well, there's lots of excitement in the Burns home today. Gracie has just received word that she's to go to New York and write up the Lewis-Kahn championship fight for her newspaper column.
Of all people to cover a prize fight, what do you know about boxing?
I happen to be an authority on sports.
You?
Oh, there may be one or two fine points on boxing that I'm not up on, like how many there are on a side.
How many on a side?
Of course, I can figure it out for myself. Just tell me how many there are altogether.
Maybe the names of the fighters will give you a hint. It's the Joe Louis-Billy Kahn fight.
How far, huh?
Yeah. Joe and Kahn fight Billy and Louis. Look, Gracie, there are only 2 men in a prize fight. One on a side.
Just one?
That's all.
Oh, pretty small-time sport, huh?
Yes, not doing well. It's...
Imagine, only one on a side. Why, in baseball, they must have 5 or 6.
Thank goodness I'm going to the Lewis-Kahn fight with you. Even if somebody got knocked out, you wouldn't know who won.
Is it hard to tell if someone is knocked out?
Certainly not. Let's say you were unconscious for more than 10 seconds. No, in your case, that wouldn't prove anything. I'll put it this way. If you were perfectly still for 10 seconds, they'd call you a knockout.
Oh. Well, let me move a little, and they'd like me even better.
Forget about the technical part of the fight. I'll take care of that for you.
Oh, thank you, dear. Who do you think will win, Lewis or Kahn?
Well, I don't know. Pretty close fight.
Oh, yes, but your judgment is uncanny. Remember last year how you told me who'd win the World Series and the Rose Bowl game and the golf championship? Oh, come on. Who's going to win the fight?
Well, I pick Lewis.
Oh, gee, that lucky Kahn.
No, this time I'm right.
let's make a little bet, huh?
Okay. What do you want to bet?
Well, if my man wins, you buy me a pair of nylons.
Okay.
And if your man wins, I buy them myself.
You want to handle this yourself?
Yes.
This bet?
Yes.
You don't want the Morris office to handle it?
No.
Look, I'd like to win something, too. How about a box of cigars? The cigars I smoke.
Oh, well, the house would smell better if you smoked nylons.
Never mind the bet. When do they want you to come to New York?
Oh, right away. I'm supposed to go to the fighters' training camps and interview them.
You'll get the thrill of your life at those training camps.
Yeah?
Those boxers really have terrific physiques.
Oh, that won't thrill me.
No?
No. What thrill is there left for a woman once she's looked at you?
Me, but
you're tops, George. So why should I look at anyone else? Does the peacock's mate look at the sparrow?
Well,
Does the lion's mate look at the alley cat?
Gracie.
Does the baboon's mate look at the monkey?
Okay, forget it. I still say I'm not the physical type. I'm just not built like those guys.
Well, I think you... Come in.
Hi, Burnses. What's new?
Bill, I'd like to ask you a question. Don't you think George is built like a boxer?
Yeah, he's built sort of like a boxer.
Well, thanks, Bill.
Of course, he's got a lot of poodle in him, too.
Bill, Gracie didn't mean a boxer dog. She meant a prize fighter.
Oh, a prize fighter.
Yes. George and I are going to the Lewis Kahn fight, and I'm reporting it for my newspaper column.
Oh, gee, lucky you, Gracie. Who's going to take over your radio program?
Say, that's right. We've got to get someone to take over our program.
Sure.
Not only while we're in New York, but for the whole summer.
Well, George, I got a little show I could put on. It's a sort of a simplified quiz program.
Simplified?
Yes, I have only beautiful girls for contestants, and I ask only one question.
Well, that doesn't sound like much fun.
Oh, if I get the right answer, it'll be a riot.
Nothing doing, Willie. You're not taking over the summer show.
Well, George, I wouldn't want to be the top man of the Maxwell House program just for the summer.
No?
No, I'd rather be like I am now, top man the whole year.
Goodbye, Star.
So long, Stooge.
Well, now, George, this is a real problem. It won't be easy to find a man to replace you.
You really mean that, Gracie?
Well, I certainly do. I know. We'll get Jack Benny, Bing Crosby, and Orson Welles.
All three of them?
Sure, they're off the air now. They'll help you look for someone.
I see. Well, if we don't get someone to take over the show, we'll just have to miss the big fight.
Oh, dear, I'd hate to miss that.
So would I.
I'll go, dear.
Yes, you go, dear.
Good morning, Mrs. Burns. Here's your mail.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Postman.
Is something wrong today? You sound a bit perturbed.
Oh, I am. My husband and I are just dying to see the world's champion fighter.
Well, drop by my house anytime my wife is home.
Oh, no, Mr. Postman, not your wife. Joe Louis is the world's champion fighter.
Well, if he likes to think so, let him have his little dream.
Anyhow, the fight's in New York, and we can't go unless we find someone to take over our radio show this summer.
Well, I know a very clever comedian who's available. A droll fellow who prostrates one and all with his witticisms and also has a most infectious laugh.
You do? Who is he?
Oh, yes. I fracture them at the post office. Yesterday, I had them laying in the aisles. Several of them were run over by mail trucks.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you'd never make a radio comedian, Mr. Postman.
You're right. My voice is more the Ronald Coleman type.
Yes, that's it. Well, thanks for bringing me this letter.
You're welcome. Well, goodbye, Mrs. Burns. Remember...
Keep smiling?
Just what I had in mind.
Who was it, Gracie?
Oh, the postman with a letter. Oh, look. It's from Radio Life magazine.
Well, open it up.
Dear George and Gracie, Each year, Radio Life magazine presents a group of awards for outstanding radio performances. This year, it is our pleasure to give your program the award for musical achievement.
Well, I'll be done. At last. Though April showers may come your way.
Oh, you really deserve the award, Sugar Throat.
Well, I didn't know my voice was that good.
Ah, Judge, you're too modest. Just name another singer who's 1/10 as good as you are.
Well, Frank Sinatra.
Him?
Sure. He's 1/10 as good as I am.
Sinatra? Oh, why, you make him look sick. At least you help.
I guess so.
Sing some more.
Oh, Gracie.
Oh, please, Judge. I'm mad about sweet things, and nothing in the world is sweeter than your voice.
Well.
So open up the jug of your throat and pour the molasses of melody all over me.
Okay. Though April showers may come your way, they bring flowers that bloom in May.
Oh, you murdered, Daddy, you murdered. Oh, darling, Radio Life couldn't possibly have picked anyone else.
And we're not... I guess not. Was that all they had to say in their letter?
Now, there's one more paragraph. Let's see what it says. Oh, yeah. Your program features one of the truly great musical artists of radio.
And though it's raining...
And therefore, we confer this award upon Meredith Wilson.
Have no regrets, because Meredith Wilson...
Forgetting that he's a musician, too.
But why did they give him the award instead of me?
Oh, well, who cares? But, George, it's a wonderful break for us. If they think Meredith is that good, he can do the program this summer, and we can go to New York.
You think he can handle it?
Oh, sure. We'll have a wonderful time at the fight. Oh, just one thing. Don't let Joe Louis or Billy Kahn hear you sing. It might stop the fight.
Stop the fight?
Well, yeah. If they heard you sing, they'd forget to hit each other. They'd want to concentrate on you.
Yeah. Let's call Meredith and tell him the news.
Yeah, let's.
Meredith Wilson and his orchestra. Back home in Tennessee. Now, there's a tune to hang some memories on, Meredith.
Especially for some folks, Bill. Folks who remember a certain famous dining room in Nashville, for instance. 2 stories high it was, with Grecian columns on marble bases. And sculptured fruit and game on the ceiling.
Yes, and maybe they remember, too, some of the famous people they saw in that dining room. Statesmen, authors, generals, actors, actresses, and presidents of the United States. And then nobody could forget the famous dishes of Antoine, the imported chef, or the wonderful coffee, especially blended for people used to the very best. And you know, Meredith, that old hotel still stands in Nashville, the old Maxwell House, a lasting reminder of a well-loved part of our American scene. And I can't help thinking, too, how that famous coffee, named after the Maxwell House, has itself become a real part of the American scene. For through the years, more and more people have discovered its rich, mellow flavor, until today more people buy Maxwell House than any other coffee in America. Yes, it's Maxwell House wherever you go. And it's easy to understand, for Maxwell House is such a skillful blend of really superb Latin American coffees, each chosen for its own special contribution. Manizales for mellowness. Medellins for richness. Other choice Latin American coffees for vigor. And Bucaramangas for full body. The result is a blend so deliciously satisfying that north, east, south, and west, people ask again and again for Maxwell House. Coffee they know is good to the last drop.
I called Meredith Wilson, George, and he's on his way over right now.
You know, Gracie, even though Radio Life did pick him as the top musical director, I wonder if he can handle our summer show.
Oh, of course he can. Now, let's finish packing. See if you can close this bag for me.
Holy smoke, it's jammed full. How am I going to close it?
Use your brains. Sit on it.
Okay.
There. Oh, you're wonderful, dear. Joe Louis and Billy Kahn may have bigger arms and shoulders than you, but I'll bet you can close a suitcase better than either of them.
Thanks, kid. Whose stuff is in that grip? Yours or mine?
Well, I divided it up. I didn't want to hog all the room.
Well, good, good.
So I put in my shoes and my dresses and my coats and my undies and my purses and your toothbrush.
Well, that's fine. I'll have clean teeth and no socks.
Well, smile pretty and no one will look at your feet.
Maybe I shouldn't leave at all. Maybe Meredith can handle our summer program.
Oh, now stop worrying. Meredith is a tremendously talented, capable, hard-working, conscientious man.
Oh, he's all that. And more.
More?
Yeah, he's also a pretty big jerk.
Why, George Burns, that's a fine way to talk about your dearest friend.
Well,
Apologize this minute.
But
You take that back, what you said about Meredith Wilson being a big jerk.
Okay, I take it back.
Well, that's better. The way you talk, you'd think he was one on purpose.
Well, I'm pretty worried about him being the right man to take charge of a radio show.
Oh, nonsense of you. Come in.
Good day, all.
Oh, hello, all.
Congratulations on winning the Radio Life Music Award, Meredith.
Well, thank you, Gracie. It's nice of you to congratulate me. But what about the 28 members of my orchestra?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they haven't congratulated me yet.
They will. Look, Meredith, do you think you can really put on a good show for us this summer?
I have no qualms about it whatsoever, George. My whole life has been devoted to music since I was a lad in Mason City, Iowa.
Really, Meredith?
Through an advertisement, I learned that I could get a flute by selling 5,000 cakes of Lucy's Lavender Lilac Soap.
Oh, and you sold that many?
Yes, my relations bought the entire 5,000 cakes. And to this very day, you can smell a Wilson a mile away.
And close up, it's overpowering.
Oh, Meredith, I envy you. I wish I came from a more musical family. My sister studied the cello for 16 years, but she never learned to play it.
Why wasn't she able to master the instrument?
Well, for the first 12 years, she thought she was supposed to blow into it. That was Bessie.
Yes.
I trust that she eventually learned the proper position in which to play the cello.
Oh, yes, but then she ran into more trouble. She was so knock-kneed, she kept smashing it.
Too bad she wasn't bow-legged like your other sister.
Hazel?
Hazel, yes.
Well, to return to my musical background.
Yes, let's return, yes.
I became a member of the Mason City Farm and Fireside Philharmonic. And in less than a year, I was playing first flute and second bass.
Second base, too?
Yes, the Philharmonic also had a baseball team.
Okay, Meredith, that's enough musical background.
Yes, Meredith, we're proud to place our summer program in your capable hands.
Now, wait a minute.
Thank you, Gracie. I'm sure that my efforts shall be well received. In Mason City alone, 60,000 ears will be listening every Thursday.
60,000 ears? Well, that's 30,000 people.
Yeah, assuming they run two to a customer in Mason.
Yes, that's just what it averages. Walter Bunker has only one ear, but Charlie Buck fortunately has three.
Well, that
Well, I'm going out now to engage talent for the summer show. Goodbye, all.
Goodbye, all. Gracie, I've worked hard all season, telling great jokes, building up our program. And now you turn it over to that schnook. Why, people will laugh at him.
Well, it's just for the summer. When you come back, they'll stop laughing.
Go pack your bags. So that's why I called you over, Bill. Gracie has told Meredith he can do the summer show, and frankly, I'm wondering if it'll be a success.
Well, it's bound to be, George. I'll be on it.
Has Meredith hired you?
Well, you don't think he'd try to put on a show without me, do you? He may be dumb, but he's not demented.
Show couldn't go on without you.
Are you kidding, George? Do you realize what would happen to Maxwell House coffee if I weren't on?
People would stop drinking it?
Oh, no, they wouldn't stop drinking it. Maxwell House is too good. But it'd be a lot weaker.
Their coffee would be weaker if you weren't on.
Well, naturally, millions of women crying and all those tears dropping into the coffee.
In other words, you don't think Meredith could find a man with as much sex appeal as you, huh?
Oh, he could find one with almost as much, but it'd take a couple of months to train him.
Train him?
Yes, you see, Gable's never done any announcing.
Yeah, so we got to break him in.
Yes. Well, so don't worry about things this summer, George. They'll be fine. Now, how's this for the opening announcement of the Meredith Wilson show? It's Maxwell House Coffee Time, starring Bill Goodwin.
The Meredith Wilson show?
Yeah.
You left Meredith out completely, and he's your friend.
Oh, I'm sorry, George. Well, how's this? It's Maxwell House Coffee Time, starring Bill Goodwin, and featuring the music of Bill Goodwin's friend.
Yes. This show can make Meredith bigger than Singing Sam. The name Goodwin still seems to creep in there.
Well, it's a name that'll attract attention, George, a household word. Everyone knows the name Goodwin. It conjures up the picture of a tall, handsome man.
Okay, I guess you're set. Come in.
Hello, are you Mr. Burns?
That's right.
Well, my name is Ben Gage. Meredith Wilson sent me over. I'm going to be the announcer on the summer show.
They moved the Woolworth building, didn't they? You're going to be the announcer on the summer show.
That's right, Shorty.
Shorty, why, you blonde beanpole? My name is Goodwin, Bill Goodwin.
Oh, pleased to meet you. What do you do, Mr. Goodhue?
Goodwin. I'm with the Maxwell House Coffee people.
Oh, really? Do you grind the beans?
No, I don't grind the beans.
Well, what do you do, Mr. Goodley?
Goodwin.
Surely you're not in the stock room. That's pretty heavy work for a fellow your age.
No, I'm not in the stock room. I sell Maxwell House coffee.
Oh, you have a grocery store. Well, where's it located, Mr. Goodspeed?
George, would you please tell Stratosphere Head my name?
Oh, sure. It's a name everyone knows. A household word.
Yeah.
Glowcoat.
Oh, George.
Brillo? Bicidol?
Yeah, Bill Bicidol.
Oh, how do, Bob? Glad to know you.
Pay no attention to George. My name is Goodwin, Bill Goodwin.
Well, I'm glad we got that straightened out.
So am I.
Now, what did you say your connection was with Maxwell House Coffee?
I drink it.
Well, believe me, you're drinking the best, Mr. Goodsmith.
Now, look, the wavy wig,
Maxwell House is appetizing, rich, full-bodied, and mellow.
Look, friend,
Coffee at its full-flavored best. Good to the last drop.
Look, buddy,
What are you trying to say, Mr. Goodgosh?
Good gosh. Now, wait a minute, Peroxide Top. I
know it's hard for you to express yourself, but even you, with no voice and no personality, should be able to say that Maxwell House is tops. Why, more people buy and enjoy Maxwell House than any other brand of coffee in the world. Well, what do you think of that, Mr. Good Humor?
George, did you hear that? Good humor, good gosh, good speed, good Smith. I'm getting out of here.
So long, Newman.
Newman, oh, no!
Newman,
That's
eh?
that,
I
yeah.
thought his name was Goodwin.
It used to be. Well, Ben, I'm glad you're going to work on the summer show with Meredith.
Well, the pleasure's all mine, Mr. Burns.
I'll call Gracie and I'll tell her the news. Oh, Gracie.
Yes, dear.
Gracie, this is Ben Gage, the man Meredith picked to announce our summer show. Ben, this is my wife.
How do you do?
Hello. My, it's nice to meet someone your size in these days of shortages.
You and Ben get acquainted, Gracie. I'll go out to the garage and get the trunk.
Ben Gage. You know, that name sounds familiar somehow. Was it in the newspapers recently?
Well, yes. You see,
Don't tell me. Let me guess. Did you strike against somebody, or did somebody strike against you?
No, neither one.
Well, then how did you get in the newspapers?
Well, I got married. My wife is Esther Williams.
Oh, of course, the famous swimmer. You lucky man. Esther is so young and so beautiful and so glamorous and exotic. We're entirely different.
You're entirely different?
Yes, I can't swim a stroke.
Oh, I see.
Well, now let's get down to business, Mr. Gage. Does George feel that you're the man for our summer show?
Well, yes, he seems to.
Well, when a woman has a clever husband whose judgment she respects, she should take his opinion with no questions asked. In my case, I'll ask a few.
All right.
Now, first, I want to find out if you know enough about radio to handle the job. Now, I'm warning you, these questions will be pretty technical.
I'm ready.
What do you do when you want to listen to a program on a radio set?
Well, I turn it on.
Mm-hmm. And when you're tired of listening?
I turn it off.
Uh-huh. Well, so much for the technical stuff. Now, next, what talent do you have?
Well, in addition to announcing, I do a little singing.
Oh, you sing.
Yes.
Well, that may change everything. You're good enough to take Bill's place, but are you good enough to take George's place?
Well, does he sing?
Does he sing? Why, he couldn't sound more like a bird if he had feathers on his tonsils.
Well, gee, I didn't know.
Oh, you'll never equal him, but you might get by. Let's hear your voice.
All right. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Mm-hmm. Very pretty. Can you sing in English, too?
Oh, yes.
Well, I'm very favorably impressed. On the whole, I think you'll do.
Though April showers may come your way. They bring flowers that bloom in May.
Well, Mr. Gage, did you hear that?
Yes, where'd it come from?
Out and back. Not bad, huh?
It's wonderful. In these days of no butter, you're very smart to keep a cow.
What?
Oh, gee, did I say something wrong?
Well, you certainly did. That
Well,
was George singing. And if that's all you know about music, we don't want you on our program.
Oh, honest, Mrs. Burns, I didn't mean to say...
George, come in here. The idea of mistaking my husband for a cow. They're nothing alike. Whoever saw a cow with bags under its eyes?
Did you call me, Gracie?
Yes. Mr. Gage won't do it all, dear. You have to stay here and handle the summer program yourself.
But, Gracie, I'm all set to go to New York.
No, you stay here, George.
Now, wait a minute. Who's the boss in this family?
You are.
You bet I am. Now, do I go to New York or do I stay here?
You stay here.
But you said I was the boss.
Well, you can have the title as long as I get my way.
Now, please, Gracie, I want to go.
No, George, and that's final.
Let me try to persuade her, Mr. Burns.
What can you do?
Yes, it's all your fault anyhow, you tone-deaf music hater.
Well, I know it is, and I despise myself for offending such a charming and lovely girl.
And that sort of talk won't do you a bit of good.
Surely you won't refuse to give me another chance. One so young and fair couldn't be so cruel.
Now you stop that.
But I'm sure the tenderness of your heart must match the beauty of your face.
Give up, Ben. It's no use.
You keep out of this, George.
But he's not getting anywhere.
That's what you think.
Huh?
Finish what you were saying, Ben. And, George, you finish packing.
Well, hallelujah.
George and Gracie really do begin their vacations next week, but they'll be back in September with all of us. Till then, Meredith Wilson will take over Maxwell House Coffee Time. You'll hear Meredith Wilson's music, the singing of Ben Gage and the King Sisters. It'll be a half hour later over most of these stations. To be sure, check your local newspaper.
Oh, goody, goody Jell-O pudding tonight. It tastes like Grandma's, only more so.
You ain't kidding, that's right. And just as Jell-O's 6 delicious locked-in flavors can't be beaten, so the proof of Jell-O pudding's in the eating.
The Jell-O twins are hard to find, but keep on looking in your store. When sugar shortages are over, there'll be more.
Just the taste of Jell-O pudding or of Jell-O, and you know it's the one and only Jell-O.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
That was the Burns and Allen Show with special guest Ben Gage, as originally heard May 30th, 1946. And lastly, on Classic Radio Rewind, is an episode from Inner Sanctum Mysteries. This episode, starring Boris Karloff, tells the tale of a man that strangles his wife and entombs her body in the walls of his home. From November 6, 1945, this is Inner Sanctum Mysteries with The Wailing Wall.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries, starring Boris Karloff. Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum. This is your host, to welcome you through the squeaking door into the land of ghosts, vampires, and other gay, hilarious people. Friends, are you looking for an apartment? Well, we have just the place for you. It's sturdily built, completely of marble, with cold running water every time it rains. You don't have to worry about the landlord putting you out. The lease is forever. All you have to do to get this little love nest is call your undertaker and get yourself a little bit dead.
Mr. Host, I assure you, no one is the least bit interested in your offer.
But, Mary, just think. Once you're dead, you can appear on Inner Sanctum. You know, we always have a ghost in our story, someone whose voice comes back from the grave and gives advice to our characters. Yeah, sometimes I think our theme song should be, My Mummy Done Told Me.
Why, that's very funny. But you know, Mr. Host, talking about voices coming back, that's what happened to me the other day. I heard my own voice coming back to me on the radio while I was eating breakfast.
No.
Yes. I just heard the new Lipton jingle, and then I heard myself. Yes, there I was, talking about Inner Sanctum and about Lipton tea, too. You see, it was a record, an electrical transcription that I'd made, all about Lipton's brisk flavor, how Lipton's always tastes fresh and full-bodied, never wishy-washy. And you know what? There was a man on the record who talked almost like you, Mr. Host.
An imposter. I'll kill him.
Oh, it was just in fun. He made spooky remarks when I talked about Lipton tea. But I did get a chance to say that Lipton's is the largest selling brand of tea in the whole world.
All right, Mary, you've had your chance. And now make room for the creepiest voice you ever heard. The curdling kid himself, the star of stage, screen, and radio, Boris Karloff. Tonight's story is called The Wailing Wall. It's an original radio play by Milton Lewis. And you'll hear Boris Karloff in the role of Gabriel Hornell. All set, friends? Then turn out the lights, curdle close to the fire, and listen. Night. And on the waterfront of downtown Manhattan, the fog creeps in like a crawling cloud. Tucked in between the towering skyscrapers, there's an old rundown mansion. An anachronism, a freak among the streamlined giants. It's the Hornell home. And tonight, leaping tongues of flame from behind the black shutters.
Yes, it's Johnny.
Is there anybody in that old dump?
They say an old guy lives there, owns it.
Gabriel Hornell.
I hope he had sense enough to get out. That place is like a tinderbox.
And pretty well gone. Casey, get that horse.
Hey, there is someone in there. Get the action. Come on.
I'm right behind you. Watch. Get out of the way.
Hurry, will you?
That knocks it off. All right, come on in.
You see anyone in there?
No, we can't stay.
Hey, there he is.
Oh, the crazy cootie didn't even have sense enough to get out. Here, grab a short.
Yeah.
No, let go of me.
We're just taking you out.
I don't want to go out. I ain't asking you what you want. Come on, Johnny. Before this joint collapses. Oh, take me out. I can't leave the house.
Mr. Hornell, I hope you're feeling... Mr. Hornell? Mr. Hornell? The head nurse. And hurry. Hello? Hello, this is Nurse Hopkins on the 18th floor. Gabriel Hornell is not in his room. The window is open from the bottom. There's a letter. I know, but I'm sure he's not alive. Oh, the letter? Yes, I'll read it to you. To whom it may concern.
By the time you read this, I shall be dead. There can be no mistake this time. Death holds no fear, no terror any greater than what I've endured in life. For the past 40 years, I've searched for freedom. I hope now I've found it. Even now, as I write, I can hear her voice, calling to me as she did that night years ago. I'd prepared everything while she was in bed. Just the last few minute little details had to be completed.
Gabriel? Gabriel, do you hear me?
What do you want?
What are you doing down there?
I'm fixing something.
Well, why don't you come up? I don't want to be alone here. I can't bear to be alone. Come up, Gabriel. What's the matter with you? Why don't you answer me? Oh, you're just doing it for spite. I know you are. Stop that hammering, Gabriel. You know I can't bear that noise. Now stop it, please. Gabriel, will you stop that noise?
Oh. You came down.
Well, of course I came down. Did you expect me to lie there while all this racket was going on? Now, you know I'm a sick woman, Gabriel. What are you doing there anyhow?
You can see.
Well, yes, I can see, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, you've made a huge gaping hole in the wall. Now, what on earth did you want to do a thing like that for?
You'll find out soon enough.
And what are all those things?
Stonemason's tools, cement, plaster.
Well, I never dreamed you knew how to use them. Oh, I'm going back to bed.
No, Agnes.
No?
No.
Gabriel, that rope in your hands.
Yes. I've thought carefully about this rope, Agnes. It's the most merciful way. It leaves a little trace, since there's no blood.
Gabriel.
You won't make it difficult, will you, Agnes?
Murder?
It's the only way.
No, Gabriel.
We couldn't go on like this. Your imaginary illnesses, your constant nagging. I have to be free of them, Agnes.
But murder?
This is best for both of us.
No, Gabriel. Send me away. Do anything you want. You can get a divorce. A divorce there, see? That would solve everything. You could have your freedom.
Stand there, Agnes. Just as you are.
I know. That other woman, Dorothy Carter, that actress. That's why you're doing this. Oh, you thought I didn't know about that, Gabriel. Well, I do. Yes, I do. No. No, let go of me. That rope. Help, somebody.
It will be done in a minute.
Done? Oh, you'll never be free of me. As long as you live. Never.
The cat saw everything with its yellow eyes. The cat saw me take her body to the tomb I'd made in the wall. The cat saw me place her there and carefully seal it up. I worked quickly, skillfully, with infinite care. First the bricks, one on top of the other, then the plaster. Then the wallpaper to match the rest of the room. That wasn't very difficult. In a short time it was done. I was free. All I had to do now was to go to the police and report her missing. It was even simpler than I'd thought. I put on the coat. I was about to open the front door when I heard it for the first time. I thought it must be my imagination. I listened carefully. I rushed to the wall, put my ear to it. What I heard made icy perspiration ooze out of every pore of my body. The wail was coming from the wall. It was like the insane shriek of some creature of another world. Was she alive in there? She couldn't be. She was dead. I knew she was dead. And yet I heard her voice wailing. I could swear it was her voice. I couldn't go out as I'd planned. What if someone else should hear it? Would they go to the wall? Investigate? The doorbell. Oh, it couldn't be at this hour. It couldn't be, but it was. Who? Oh, I had to risk everything and answer it.
I'm sorry to disturb you, Mr. Hornell.
It was Patrolman Cleary. He was the officer on the beat. He was blue with cold.
I was passing by and I saw the lights on. I peeked in the window.
You looked in?
Yes. Since you were still up, I thought I'd ring. It's pretty cold out tonight, and I'd like to warm these old bones for a minute.
Oh, yes, of course, Cleary. Don't stand there in the door, man. Come in.
Thank you. I see you got your coat on, Mr. Hornell. You just got in?
Only a few moments ago. As a matter of fact, I was going to see you.
See me?
Why, yes. It's about my wife.
Hi, something wrong?
I hope not. I was out all evening. When I got home, she was gone.
It's not like her, Mr. Hornell.
No, it isn't.
Was she alone all evening?
Yes, at least I think she was. You know, she hasn't been feeling very well lately, and I hate to think it possible, but she may have destroyed herself.
Mrs. Hornell? No, she wasn't the sort.
Oh, she was ill, terribly ill. I tried to keep it secret until she recovered, but the doctors knew.
Insane?
Yes. Don't you see? The river.
I'd better get back to the precinct and report this. You'd better come with me. The Missing Persons Bureau will... Hey, Mr. Hornell.
Yes?
You must be mistaken. Isn't that her?
That isn't a woman.
Of course it is. It's coming from that room there. Well, sure, it's your wife. I know her voice, and she sounds like she's in pain.
But it can't be. There's no one in that room.
Well, she must have come in the back way. Come, I'll show you.
No, don't go in.
What?
Nothing. No. There. You can see for yourself there's no one here.
No one? Could have sworn your wife was in this room.
Well, how'd you like to live in a house with wailing walls? Well, one thing you have to admit, things aren't so very dead in the Hornell mansion. Or are they?
Well, all I can say is I'm glad I don't have to live in that house with that awful wailing.
Why, Mary, there's a wailing, whistling kind of noise in your house, too. The first time I heard it, I was so scared I shivered in my shroud.
What? Oh, you're talking about my whistling tea kettle. Oh, goodness, there's nothing scary about that. Now, if you'd only try Lipton tea with its wonderful brisk flavor, that whistle would sound as cheery to you as birds whistling in the morning. Especially on these chilly mornings when a cup of Lipton's just makes you feel like the sun was shining inside of you. And, folks, if you want a sunny disposition, you should try relaxing with a cup of Lipton tea after a hard job like, well, maybe washing out your window curtains. Yes, and what's more, you can help your friends feel right with the world, too, by serving them Lipton tea when they come to visit you. Lipton's always taste so tangy and heartwarming, never flat or wishy-washy. Yes, that brisk flavor makes all the difference in the world.
All right, friends, we've given you a chance to warm your blood, and now we fondly hope to turn it to ice again, with the help of our star, Boris Karloff. Oh, let's hear the second act of Inner Sanctum. we continue with a strange letter left by Gabriel Hornell.
Cleary watched in silent fascination as the cat screamed and leaped against the wall. Would he notice the new wallpaper in the dim light? Suddenly, the policeman turned to me.
Yes, I guess that noise is only the wind. Strange how like a wailing woman it can sound, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, I'll be leaving now. I guess it'll be all right for you to stay here. I'll make a report at headquarters about your wife.
It's very good of you, Cleary.
If she turns up, you let us know?
Yes, I'll let you know.
Good night, Mr. O'Neill.
Good night. He left. I locked the door and came back to the room where my wife was entombed. Was she still alive inside the hollow of that wall? I listened all that night. The wailing rose to a high, insane shriek, and then towards morning, it began to grow weaker, as though she were losing strength, and it seemed to die. The cat crept away. There was a merciful silence in the house. She was dead. She had to be by now. I sank down onto the sofa into a feverish sleep. Somewhere a bell was tolling, calling the mourners to the grave. Suddenly I sat bolt upright, shaking, trembling. Oh, I'd been dreaming. The front doorbell was ringing. It was night again. How long had I slept? The house was silent. Oh, there was nothing to fear now. I ran to the door, opened it.
Hiya, kiddo.
Dorothy.
Well, are you going to keep me out here in the cold?
No. Come in. I haven't been feeling well, Dorothy.
Is that why you forgot our date tonight?
I must have overslept. What time is it?
10 o'clock.
10? I must have slept clear through the day.
Well, aren't you glad to see me?
Glad? Why, yes. It's a delightful surprise.
Well, that's more like you. Come here, kiddo. You've got the blues, but Dorothy will wipe them away. Give us a kiss. What's that?
Just the wind.
Oh, no, it can't be the wind.
This is a very old house, Dorothy. You sometimes hear strange noises.
Oh, I've never heard anything like that before. Sounds human.
Was she still alive, even after 24 hours? Suddenly I realized that the doorbell was ringing again. There was a large pair of wooden sliding panel doors between the room that we were in and the vestibule that led to the street. I wasn't going to take any more chances.
There's someone at the door, Gabe.
Yes. You wait here, Dorothy.
What are you doing?
Closing these doors.
Why?
I'd advise you not to ask too many questions.
Evening, Mr. O'Neill.
Officer Cleary. Who are those men with you?
Hey, I've got something to show you, Mr. O'Neill. You'd better brace yourself. It's not going to be pleasant. All right, bring it in, boys. You can put it over there.
What? What is it?
It's a body. A woman. Just fished out of the river right near here. She can't be dead more than 24 hours.
My wife?
That's hard to say. You see, the body got caught in the propeller of a boat, and it's not easy to recognize it. Unless it was examined by someone who knew her very well. Like yourself, of course.
Let me see it.
Take away the burlap. Look, Mr. O'Neill. I know. It's pretty bad. Is it your wife?
Agnes? Yes. Yes, of course. It's her.
You're sure now?
Yes, I'm sure. Positive.
All right, boys. Take it away. You can stay here, Mr. Arnett. I'll take care of everything down at headquarters. Good night.
Good night, Cleary. Luck, fate, whatever it is that seemed to control men's lives was playing directly into my hands. They'd never investigate now. The nightmare was over. This time I was really free. Suddenly, the panel door opened. Dorothy was standing there, a curious smile on her lips.
I heard everything, kiddo.
You did?
So you were married.
No longer, Dorothy. My wife died. Suicide.
So I heard.
Now everything will be quite all right, and we can get married in a few weeks. We'll have money, lots of money.
She left you plenty, eh?
She was very wealthy.
What's the matter?
Nothing.
Nothing. I see what happens to your face when you hear that wail. Did you kill her?
What are you talking about?
Did you murder her?
You heard what he said. She was found in the river.
You can fool a dumb copper, but you can't fool Dorothy. That wail. It's queer. Awfully queer. Look at what that cat's doing, will you? Jumping up on that wall like it's gone crazy. Yes, there's something about that wall. That's what the cat's trying to tell me. Something about the wall.
You better stay away from there, Dorothy.
I'm going to find out something.
Yeah, put that bookend down.
Not till I'm done with it, kiddo.
What are you doing there?
I'm going to break through that wall.
You crazy fool, stop it.
No!
Here, give me that thing.
You're too late, Gabe. I've broken a hole through, and I'm going to look.
Now you've seen.
Yes. Is it the hand? The hand of a woman. It's her. Your wife.
Yes, Dorothy.
You murdered her.
Yes.
Well, ain't you the kid?
What are you going to do about it?
What do you think? I want money. Lots of... That rope.
Yes. This rope. It leaves no telltale traces.
Oh, no, kid. Didn't you get it? It was all a joke. No, don't come any closer.
Don't scream, Dorothy. It won't do you any good.
Gabe, listen to me. I don't want a cent, not one penny. I love you. I tell you. I'll keep your secret. I'll do anything you want. Anything. That rope. Take it away from my neck. Don't, Gabe, in the name of heaven. Don't please. Oh.
She was dead. I took her body, put it in an old trunk in the storeroom of the cellar. I had to think of some plan, some way to get rid of those bodies. In my confusion, there was only one thing that I was certain of. I must never leave the house, not even for a minute. I never did. At nights, I would sit there, listening. Then it would come, the wail in the wall. I knew that after a week she couldn't be alive. What made the wail? Plans? I thought of 1,000 plans, but all of them would mean that I had to leave the house, and if I left, someone would hear the wail and find out, just as Dorothy did. Fire. Yes, fire. That would do it. The idea danced like a flame in my mind. But no. They discovered charred bones of the skeletons among the wreckage. No, it wouldn't be worth it. The only way I could be safe was to stay there in the house. I stayed. I, who had risked everything for freedom. One day, the doorbell tinkled. I opened it.
Mr. Harnell?
Yes?
I'm Mr. Crawford from the bank. May I come in?
Just in here, in the vestibule.
We've written to you 12 times, but you've never replied.
What do you want?
Well, Mr. Harnell, you may not realize it, but you've overdrawn your account. The money your wife left is gone.
Gone? So short a time?
So short? Why, she died 40 years ago.
40? It seems only yesterday.
We've been investigating. Even the grocer who used to supply your food no longer will extend you credit.
What do you want with me? I'm not starving.
If you'd see your face, you'd realize that you are, Mr. Hornell. Now, if you'll only be reasonable, we can see to it that you get $250,000.
$250,000? How?
By selling this house. It's become very valuable.
No. You get out of here. Get out.
But, Mr. Hornell...
Get out!
Very well.
He was right. I was starving. That night, when I heard the wailing begin again, I came to a decision. I had spent 40 years in the house. More punishment than criminals receive who've committed even worse crimes than mine. I'd take a chance. I opened the wall I'd sealed up 40 years ago. She was still there, but the wailing continued. Why? I looked into the tomb I made for her, and then I saw it. I saw this thing that had ruined my life. It was a tiny hole in the outside wall that I'd made when I first broke it open. The wind rushed through and made that horrible wail. What was the use? I took a match out of my pocket. I set its flame to the curtains. In a moment, the place would be an inferno. But I decided to stay. I wanted to perish with the house. In death, at least I'd be free. But even then, freedom was denied me. They rescued me, brought me to this hospital. I had the nurse make inquiries from the police. She told me.
No, there was nothing unusual found among the ashes. Everything was burned to a fine powder.
If I had only set fire to the house 40 years ago. But no matter. The window is open. And it's 18 stories to the ground. I will soon be free.
Meow. Everybody's dead but the cat. And we overlooked him because we couldn't find him. Of course, I'm sorry that wall made such an unpleasant noise, such a tuneless wailing. We tried to teach it to whistle the new Lipton tea jingle, but we didn't have time, eh, Mary?
Now, you just stop teasing me, because I'm not going to talk about the Lipton jingle, no. No, and I'm not going to talk about Lipton tea either. Instead, the Lipton people want me to remind you folks about something important. I mean the Victory Loan Drive. You know, friends, we've been buying bonds for many years now. But this drive is in some ways the most important. Because if a job is worth doing, then it's worth finishing. The bonds you buy now won't buy weapons. No, this time the money will help bring our boys home. It will also help take care of our wounded soldiers, provide them with the finest medical care in the world. And, friends, we can certainly do no less. And the victory bonds you buy now will help launch our veterans into a safe and secure post-war world, the kind of world they've been fighting for. Yes, you're helping others and yourself, too, every time you buy a victory bond. So buy all you can, won't you?
All right, friends. Until we meet at some haunted house, here's a parting thought. Don't seal your wife in a wall. That won't keep her quiet. Oh, by the way, this month's Inner Sanctum Mystery novel is Devil in the Bush by Matthew Head. Yes, and next week's Inner Sanctum story, directed by Hyman Brown and brought to you by Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup. Next week's story is about a man who gets hunches. His hunches are about death. He's sure he's going to be killed. Not by poison or fire or strangling. Nothing simple like that. No, our character has a nice, interesting death waiting for him. Oh, if you'd like to be in at the death, drop in next Tuesday. And now it's time to close the squeaking door, so good night. Pleasant Dream?
Folks, the colder it gets, the more we all enjoy a good hot plate of soup. And for soup with a fresh, home-cooked taste, you can't beat Lipton's noodle soup. Yes, Lipton's is blessed with a real chickeny flavor, and it's just swimming with tender golden egg noodles. But listen, Lipton noodle soup takes almost no time at all to prepare, and Lipton's is economical, too. Costs less and makes lots more than canned soups. So don't forget to try Lipton's noodle soup, and don't forget to tune in next Tuesday night for another Inner Sanctum Mystery.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
That was The Wailing Wall from Inner Sanctum Mysteries, starring Boris Karloff, as originally heard November 6, 1945. I'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Classic Radio Rewind, and a programming reminder that we are just over a week from our 4th of July annual Yours Truly Johnny Dollar Marathon. Old Time Radio USA is proud to continue its 4th of July tradition, following the freelance insurance investigator with the action-packed expense account. Hear not only Bob Bailey, but the many other voices of Johnny Dollar as well. It's a day of mystery, intrigue, and nostalgia that you won't want to miss. So tune in, turn up the volume, and let Johnny Dollar's daring escapades be the soundtrack to your Independence Day celebrations. And it's only on Old Time Radio USA. And you can listen to Old Time Radio USA and our other great old time radio stations by going to WOTR Radio Network.com, where you can have free reign access not only to Old Time Radio USA, but Suspense Radio USA, Crime Time Radio USA, and Radio Mystery Theater USA. All 4 stations available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, along with many different ways that you can listen. And the best part about it, all free. Don't have to sign up for anything. Don't have to enter your email address for anything. You just go to the website and listen, or go to any other platforms that you want to listen from and listen absolutely free of charge. So some of the many different platforms that you can listen on is our official mobile app. Take WOTR Radio Network on the go with you, and you can listen to us on TuneIn.com, Get Me Radio, Amazon Echo devices, Android TV, Fire TV, and many others. So with that, brings us to a close of this episode of the Classic Radio Rewind podcast. I hope you're able to join us next week for another 2 hours of great old-time radio fun. So for the WOTR Radio Network and Classic Radio Rewind, this is Barry Slinker saying goodbye for now.